conversation with Attorney Wyatt on, I believe it was August the 16th, not the 16th, it was the 17th, concerning a potential conflict. And what I suggested to her unsolicited was that she prepare and turn in a uniform conflict of interest disclosure statement, which she has completed. Now, if she take the next step, she's already explained it to the public and abstained from voting. Even if she had a conflict, she would not have one. She submitted the letter, which I read also, and she's correct. If she's only earned $200, the statute, it's not an offense in the prosecution under the statute 35-44.1-1-4 if you receive payment of less than $250 over a 12-month period. And at the end of our conversation, I believe it was the 17th, it was not clear to me whether she was going to keep that client or to resign. She did indicate she was considering resigning. So as we sit here now, I agree with her. She has absolutely no conflict. And like I say, if she just takes the next step, which she don't have to, I believe she can vote now. If she desires to vote, she certainly can. As I suggested to her, sometime it's better to do something when it's not needed than to need it and not have done it. But she has no conflict.
Thank you.
Mr. President,
Councilwoman White?
may I just correct, Attorney Lay and I spoke on Monday, August 19th. He indicated that we spoke on this 17th, but I had already spoken to my clients on the 16th of August and told them that I would not be representing them. I want to make that clarification.
I agree with the correction.
Mr. Chair, I just want to make sure the public has a better understanding, so that's why I asked for the legal opinion. Also, the Attorney Williams, could you give us an opinion regarding that?
Yes, let me
Thank you.
back up a little bit. I was asked to look at three things by President Brewer. One was the conflict of Attorney Wyatt or Councilwoman Wyatt. The other one was the conflict of Attorney Williams, if there was one. And finally, something that occurred on the August 7th, 2019 meeting regarding when the information initially where Attorney Williams indicated he had a conflict, or he thought he had a conflict, but he had taken an action. And I believe that's the second part of Attorney Wyatt's question, that the President, Mr. Brewer, signed the implied consent statement. He signed it, in fact, I believe, on June the 4th, and Mr. Keeler from Spectacle, I believe he signed June the 16th. But be as it may, Attorney Williams does not have a conflict whatsoever. He has complied with the Professional Responsibility Rule 1.7. And what that does, it indicates that a person, well, he even took an additional step. Again, I personally don't think it was necessary, but he chose to do so, and that he indicated he would recuse himself. I guess that's what brings me to this meeting. He would not vote on, I'm sorry, he does not have a vote. He would not participate. The statute allows him to do that, and it says approximately 4 things must be done. One, he has to decide, and these are decisions the attorney has to make. It's not the decision the clients make. One, the representation of one client will not be directly adverse to another client. If the lawyer believes that, that certainly would be a manner in which he could proceed. The second, the representation is not prohibited by law. There's no law that, in fact, causes a problem with concurrent representation of clients. That law was put in place for what Mr. Williams or Attorney Williams is doing. Representation does not involve the asserting of a claim by one client against another represented by a lawyer in the same litigation. Basically, talking about it would be a trial or some administrative here in a proceeding where they would have conflicting goals. They certainly do not. The city council, the city, and I assume this community, as well as the gentleman who just made their presentation, everyone wants to see the casino go forward. But the final step must be an informed consent signed by the parties affected. Mr. Renza did do that. I also spoke to him at great length. I'm not going to attempt to give you the exact date because we spoke several times. I have looked at it, and it certainly it seems to be sufficient to satisfy number 4, which is, it was explained, contained in there is certainly, he explains in the notice of disclosure that he's representing both parties, the city council and inspector. So in my opinion, there is no conflict, and he certainly has cured any potential conflict. Now, the final question I believe that Councilwoman Wyatt is raising, there was another gentleman that wrote an opinion, Mr. Greg Thomas, and part of what he looked at, I certainly agreed also. What I did was to go back and attempt to look at the videotape of the August 7, 2019 council meeting. Unfortunately, as has been explained to me, the first 30 seconds, something went wrong, so it's not on the video. It also is incomplete on Facebook. The council staff helped me go out on Facebook. I never would have been able to get out there myself. So we took a lot of time, and certainly it's been explained. I guess it's because of being here that caused the problem. But during the meeting, and I've talked to 4 people, and Corporation Counsel, Mr. Thomas, that's the other attorney. He gave me this a scenario of how the event took place, what happened. He talks in terms of Attorney Williams indicating to the council in a public meeting that I guess he had a potential conflict and he would recuse himself, and I'm summarizing it. And at that time, President Brewer explained that he had signed this implied consent form. Now, Attorney Wyatt probably raises something that certainly would have been no problem doing had it been done correctly and at the time of the meeting. She says the council should vote. Well, what happened in any organization, any organization you pick, including the United States Senate, the chair is a very powerful individual, can in fact become a dictator or a tyrant if you do not use Robert rules or some procedure to stop that. I went back as far as 1960, so it's clear, and I have history with this council. I was on the council in '95, and we certainly adopted, it was adopted before '95, but we did it again in '95 because I suggested we use a book by Erickson, and we did. And Robert rules, in order to stop a chair from doing what you don't like, you have an opportunity to raise, it's called a motion to correct the decision of the chair. You can't do anything else after the chair informs you what the problem is but use that motion. You can't even debate it until that motion is made. The very next step after the chair informs you of that. At that time, as I understand it from a couple of people I spoke with, as well as this opinion from Corporation Counsel, Mr. Brewer did explain he had signed. I do not believe, based upon what I have been told, that the motion to appeal the decision of chair was made. Sometimes people get confused about why you make that motion. If the motion is made and properly seconded, the chair loses the right to make an independent decision. Like I say, a chair can be a dictator. It then goes to the assembly. Once that is not done, and I understand further that Mr. Brewer asked the council itself, were there any questions? And they which is actually not the procedure should be followed, but they said nothing again. So they basically were agreeing by their silence. As a result, once the decision was made by him, the council did not raise the motion to correct errors. His decision stands. It's as if they voted. Further, in Robert Rules, really, it's improper to even to criticize the chair if you don't use that motion. That motion is there to help the chair when the chair may do something in error. Even if Mr. Brewer was in error, it still stands. Even if he was a dictator, it still stands. You must use that motion. So as far as I'm concerned, it was proper for him to sign. And I'm going to give you some more unsolicited advice. One thing you absolutely should understand as a body, if you don't know any other motion in Robert Rules, is the motion appeal from the decision of the chair that stopped a person being a tyrant. I hope that satisfies the council's questions.
Yes, thank you. I'm satisfied with the
Questions,
chair.
council members?
I'm good.
Councilman Brown?
I have another.
Let me go around, make sure.
Okay.
Is there any other questions, council members? We're still with overview. Okay. Councilwoman Wyatt, last round.
My question was that, when was the written waiver that the president signed, when was that presented to the council?
It wasn't presented, it was presented to myself, and at the last council meeting, Mr. Williams acknowledged on the floor that he had a conflict before we took any actions on this. So it was explained to everyone at that time in a public meeting.
But the written consent to waive the conflict of interest was never presented to the full council.
Councilwoman White, Attorney Lay just told you, if you had a problem with what I did, you could have did something at that time. We've moved past that point.
I have never even seen the consent that
I'll
you're
make sure,
supposed to
I'll
have
make sure you
signed.
get it then.
Well,
But
it
you didn't-
should be an
wait.
official action of the
Councilwoman
council.
White, you didn't raise that question at the last meeting. You cannot go back now, that time has passed, but I'll make sure you get it. You had all week to call me, and you have not. You called me about some sewer stopped up in the neighborhood. You never once said anything about this. So you have my number, you had plenty of opportunity to talk to me about this.
It
But we're
should
moving
be,
forward.
it
Is there
should be
no other
presented to the
discussion?
council as an
Thank you all
official
at this
act.
time.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Ratcliffe,
Mr.
from Indianapolis, that you can just give him 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Radcliffe. He is the owner of the New Spectacle Entertainment. Let's get back to business.
Thank you, John. Thank you, President, Mayor, Council, and the public for being here. My name is Rod Ratcliffe. I'm the Chairman and CEO of Spectacle Entertainment. We are very excited about this project. Anybody knows anything about my past, I've been in this business since 1991. I helped Churchill Downs, and I was partners with Hoosier Park. We opened the Lawrenceburg Casino in '95, and then I bought Hoosier Park, ran it in 2006, 2007, and they then acquired Indiana Grand, which is the other casino in central Indiana, in 2013. So I've been a long history, but this one here has been one of the most gratifying things I've been involved in, and it's a lot of, we put a year ago, I was going to retire. I sold my company and I was going to retire, and someone called me and said, hey, you need to come to Gary. These boats have been for sale for a long time. And one of the first people I called was the mayor, and they come up and seen her and went and looked at the casinos, and they decided to take on this endeavor, thinking that it would be quite a long time. But with the help of this city, your legislative representatives, which were outstanding, and the mayor and you guys have been awesome to get to this point today. Cannot thank you enough. I do urge you for a yes vote on Tuesday night, though, to keep going at this pace. I just cannot thank you guys enough, and we would not be here. I mean, I think we did something together with help of some others. There's some other people outside this room that deserve some credit too, but we pulled off something that nobody in downstate Indianapolis give us a shot in last January when we started this endeavor. So for that, I will always be appreciative to the mayor and to all the legislative support that your legislators give this effort. And now it's my job as an owner to make you proud. Well, we ran casinos, and I wanted to run this one really bad. It's a little bit repetitive of what John said, but this one was too big for us. And what happened was when Chicago started talking about, 5,000, 8,000 machines and stuff, I felt like we needed a bigger name than Rod and Greg's or Majestic to put out there. We had to get a real brand name. And so I had started a little bit of relationship talking about a situation that had nothing to do with the state of Indiana or anything close with Hard Rock. And I went over there and with a lot of hard work and a lot of pleading, we got a deal, and that's what we're most happy about. We think it will by far represent this community and put it in the Northwest Indiana and the Chicagoland as a destination and be a real game changer. I didn't think about this until about a week ago, and I was talking to the Rivers casino owners over there. They said, you realize you'll be the first land-based casino in the Chicagoland market. And I said, we have water under our boat. So that casino has got water under it. So we're really proud that if we keep going down this road and pull this off, that we will be the first land-based casino. And it's going to be out there with a beacon on that interstate that I think you're all going to be proud of, and we're going to be proud of, and that we can get a lot of business through there. And I think Buffington Harbor is, I think it's probably served you well for many years. The last few's not been great, but Buffington Harbor is awfully hard to find, and this is one for everyone to see and for everyone to visit and participate in. And I think we built it. I think they will come. So hey, thank you so much. I appreciate everything you guys have done so far, and let's try to get this thing done together. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President,
Councilwoman Wade.
before all of the accolades go forth, I'd just like to reiterate something that I said at the last committee meeting, that I want to make sure that during the development phase, that we are hiring Gary residents. We've been shut out of a lot of projects, the $35 million, $45 million building on 33rd and Broadway, 35th and Broadway. We've been shut out of the airport extension of the runway, and you guys are going to be making a lot of money. Hard Rock, Spectacle, you guys are going to be making a lot of money, and the citizens of Gary want to make a lot of money with you. Okay? Thank you.
Let me say, Councilwoman Wade, that's a point well taken, and I believe this team definitely gets where we're at. They have been meeting with community groups, been meeting with ourselves on making sure that these things that you talk about with the jobs and making sure that not just the jobs once the casino is up, but we're talking about the construction job of building this casino, that the citizens are involved in it. And I have to say, since this team has Rod and John and Janae, who run daily operations there, they have come in and they have really engaged themselves with the employees of Majestic Star. And showing them how much that they value them as being employees. And one thing that they saw was there's a lot of long-term employees at Majestic Star that was there from the beginning that's still there now. And they saw some things that they didn't like, whereas the hotel and some things inside the facilities themselves. So they have seen some things that they want to make sure they don't repeat history in those aspects and making sure we get a quality product. And they're standing behind their word where they're saying, just watch and see. We're going to do a great job for you all. So we appreciate that. At this time, public portion is now open. Anyone that'd like to speak for or against CPO 2019-48, please come to the mic. You have 3 minutes to speak on this ordinance only.
Good evening, everyone, and to members of the council. We are so glad to be here tonight. My name is Carolyn McCready, and I'm a member of the Committee for a Gary Community Benefits Agreement. And we are an organization that represents a lot of people. We represent civil rights organizations, labor, environmental, community organizations, and elected officials, including our own Councilwoman, Rebecca Wyatt, State Representative Reagan Hatcher, and Senator Eddie Melton. So we are very glad to be here tonight because this is the first time that I can remember that we have actually had a seat at the table. At the table for negotiations around a project as profound as this one, a $400 million project that is going to employ at least 1,000 people in the construction phase and about 1,600 people operationally, and that doesn't even take into consideration the hotel that's down the line. So we are very glad to be part of this process and to have been able to help in the discussion around what this community needs. And as Councilwoman Sparks Wade has said, we need jobs. And so we are going to be working very hard to find anyone and everyone who wants to work on this project. This is a union project, and so the wages will be good. And if people are not in a union just yet, they can work toward that in this project. And the owners of Spectacle have let us know that they are absolutely putting Gary first. Gary is a priority, Gary people, Gary resources, people who want to supply goods and services will be up front in their expectations of who's going to be involved in participating in this project. So we're just really glad to be here, and we know that Gary is going to benefit from this immensely. So I'd like to ask the other members of our organization to come up and say a few things.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the council, mayor, and everyone under my voice. I'm just so glad that I would have the opportunity to travel to Indianapolis and speak at the hearing on behalf of all of us to support this vote moving to land-based. This is historical. This is history making. The world is looking at us, and we're ready. I'm saying we're ready because I want you to get ready. Those people that are looking for jobs, you need to get ready. Let's not argue about not seeing our people on the job. Let's make sure we are prepared to take those jobs. I know that Ivy Tech right now is offering classes in blackjack and craps and some other things. They have that class is starting September 9th. I know that Indiana Plan is in the Urban League office right now for people who are interested in going to the construction trades. We have family members in our homes, in our communities that want to work. I just ask that you get ready right now. Yesterday, I want to thank Spectacle. John, I met you down in Indianapolis when the mayor asked me to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and come down there. Rod and Janae and I have been talking and working together. This is our opportunity. This is our opportunity, Gary, Indiana's opportunity to do it right with a lot of concerned people and members. So I just want to thank Mr. President, thank all the members of the City Council, and all of you that have come out in support of this. But don't forget, get ready. Let's do our part to be ready when they call us. And if you have any questions, call the Urban League. Call 887-9621. I'm Dr. Vanessa Allen McLeod, President and CEO of the Urban League of Northwest Indiana, and I represent Lake Porter and LaPorte County. But right now, I'm representing Gary. Amen. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the council, Madam Mayor. My name is James Brandon Dillon. I'm a local attorney, resident of the 4th District, and a member of Ms. McCrady's, it's the city, the Committee for a Community Benefits Agreement. We've been talking about this Community Benefits Agreement since the legislation was passed, and we've been meeting about a community benefits agreement for the last 3 or 4 months. We've had meetings with clergy members, politicians, elected officials, and people who are interested in the success of the city of Gary. I'm happy to hear that Spectacle is committed to hiring Gary residents and to employing Gary residents in a meaningful way, a fair share of the jobs. And not only that, I've also heard that Spectacle is committed to training Gary residents to make sure that they are prepared to take the jobs that will be offered. So I rise in support of these ordinances because Spectacle is committed to the city. And if they're committed to the city, then we should be committed to them. And I rise in support of this.
Good evening, council, community. I rise in opposition to this ordinance and to the casino. Just thinking about the issues associated with gambling, the struggles that individuals have to deal with gambling, looking at the conditions of this community and how it has not improved since gambling has been here, looking at that all around the country in a lot of areas where gambling is. And it's just that I know what you guys are going to do, whatever, but I just think we really need to look at that. And, is there going to be a smoking area, non-smoking? It's going to be non-smoking. The employees have to work all throughout there. There's just some individual things of the community, the people that we're going to suffer with this. Corporations are going to get rich, yes. A few people are going to make some money, yes. But the masses of the people, the community is going to continue to suffer because of gambling. Drinking, smoking, and gambling. When I came up, I was here. Drinking, smoking, or gambling are bad things, But of course, there'll be plenty of drinking there, plenty of smoking, and gambling. It's just, just got to say it. I just know how it is in terms of people getting addicted to gambling and the struggles that are associated. I look at the conditions, people not being able to pay their taxes. They got some extra money. Instead of taking that money to go spend at a local business or whatever, taking it to the casino, it's, just wanted to put that in the people's head as you guys make your decision tonight. Thank you.
Good evening. Kendra S. Johnson, 4th District, State Recognized Citizens Advocate. During the presentation, I heard it said that 950 employees were being brought to Gary, 1,600 would be needed. And one of my concerns is whether or not those that are needed were going to be low-level positions or high-level positions. When the employment hiring process will begin, and also would this particular entity invest in our Gary Community School Corporation
through having guest speakers at the area career center and also having some of the employees go to Career Day to talk about careers in this particular field. As always, I'm always interested, not just in the entity itself, but how it will invest in other areas that affect our city as well. Thank you.
My name is Stacy Hayes, born and bred here all my life. Majestic, 14 and a half years. Now, I just want to answer, I'm saying this to comment on my man that spoke about the smoking, okay, and the gambling. We all have choices here. You can choose to smoke, you choose not to smoke. You choose to drink, not to drink, gamble, not to gamble. We're not forcing anybody to do anything.
Amen.
Okay, we just want to keep our city where it's supposed to be. Bring it up. I've been here when it was down. I've been here when it was up. Now down here again, we try to bring it back up. And we can do that with this new casino. Now, anybody that doesn't want to gamble, we're not going to put a gun in your head and say, come gamble or drink. You have a choice in life. I have a choice. I can do that or not do that. I can work for them or not work for them. But I choose to work with them. They've been good to me. I'm trying to be good back.
Amen.
So that's all I have to say about that. You have a choice in life. Everybody has a choice, and that's it. To smoke, you're not smoking. We're gonna do all that's gonna come in. Give us a chance. Let's get the ball rolling first before we talk about any negative. It's supposed to be a positive thing, right?
Right.
All right, but let's keep it positive.
All right, my man.
Good evening, my name is Carrie Rogers, and I'm actually representing for my family who actually, I grew up in Black Oak, the Black Oak area, so I'm from Black Oak, and my family still lives in Black Oak. We love our community, we love, I love going back there. I don't live there anymore, but I love going back there and seeing my family, visiting with my family. Throughout the years, Black Oak has declined very much, and I think that this casino is going to be such an improvement and such a great thing for that community, and I welcome it because I think that just the overall look of it is going to improve everything around it, and I just appreciate that Ron and the whole group have come here to improve my community, and I personally think that it's a blessing, and what God made for evil, he'll turn to good, and that's how I feel. So.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Nikki Benson. I was born and raised here in Gary, 47 years. I am a member of Majestic Star Casino, or should I say that's my second family. I've been employed with them for 19 years. I want to say they do look out for Gary individuals or their employees. With Majestic Star Casino, they help become a good provider for my family and myself. I think what they're doing is going to add more jobs. What else? Think. I'm a little nervous, excuse me. Not only better jobs for our family. When the hotel closed, they just didn't forget about us. I came from the hotel 19 years. They worked with us every single day until we were placed in positions. I am one of them. More money, thank you God. I love my team members. Like I said, they're a family. They're not just my employers, they're family. I'm with them with more than I am with my own family. They look out for us. The majority of the employees are from Gary, so they're not going to forget about us. And I am a witness to that. And that's all I have to say. I think I get everything. And you all have
No one else. are you coming to speak? Okay. This be our last public speaker.
Good evening. I've been kind of busy, so this is the first time I've heard of how far this is now, so this is all news to me. I'm going to catch up in a second. But I just have to just say, I'm waiting for the time where we look at the community, what the community actually needs first and foremost. I don't personally, I'm probably mostly against most of what you guys think of in this room, because it's not based on need. I'm not going to be seeing the casino except, I don't need a casino. It doesn't help me live better. So, and I'm one of those people that could use a construction job, but I'd rather have something to build that the community needs. And the community doesn't need another way to spend more money and have more money taken out. Nobody's addressing it. Nobody said anything about organized crime, and that always follows a casino. Always. It's the history of such. Yeah, so you have to make sure that it does stay safe and sound here as for the things that are going to come in as part of the element. So, so that's pretty much all I got to say is like, let's start basing our development first and foremost on the things that everybody needs in common for a better life. I don't need a casino. I'll be there if the music is free. Other than that, you won't see me there.
That was our last public speaker. We're moving to our next ordinance. I'm sorry, public portion is closed, ma'am. Yes, I'm sorry. That was our last speaker. I made that earlier. Next ordinance.
CPO 2019-49, an ordinance appropriating 2019 budgets for the operating expenses and salaries of grants and special revenue funds for a Commission for Women and the City of Gary for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2019, ending June 30th, 2020. Sponsored by Mayor Karen Freeman Wilson, City of Gary, Angela Hayes, City Controller.
Mr. President. Brown? Yes.
Mr. President, I move the passage of CPO 2019-49 on third and final reading.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Caldwell. Overview at this time.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. Mr. President and members of the council and members of the public, this is an ordinance for the Rainbow donation account. We had donation funds that were still sitting in the account that were donated in December of 2018. They're going to be utilized for the staff to attend the Indiana Coalition Against Domestic Violence and to renew a subscription to the national organization. This is important, an important opportunity for in-service training for the staff. We also have a IHCDA grant for July 1st, 2019 to June 30th, 2020. This grant is in the amount of $15,000 and is being used to purchase furniture for the shelter. Also, the Domestic Violence Prevention and Treatment Grant, July 1st, 2019 to June 30th, 2021, is a grant in the amount of $250,000 for salaries and benefits for 3 caseworkers, advocates, contractual maintenance, and household materials. And I can tell you that the police and the shelter team are going to be partnering to ensure that victims of domestic violence get access to both advocacy and the counseling. There's also a STOP grant, July 1st through 2019 of June 30th, 2020, and that is for $22,820 for part-time victim advocate and resource materials. That completes my summary. Are there any questions?
Is there any questions, council members at this time? Thank you, Mayor. Tonight is set aside for public portion. Anyone would like to speak for or against CPO 2019-49? You have 3 minutes to speak on this ordinance.
Good evening, Kendra Johnson, 4th District, Citizens Advocate. I am for this ordinance, given the fact that we don't have enough women's shelters in this city. Domestic violence is a devastating event. And you have to forgive me because I'm a survivor of domestic violence, so it does touch me very well. And in saying that, being for this ordinance, being that the money be appropriated to the proper places, used properly, helping the women deal with what they've been through. I hope that our council will also consider ways of trying to bring another shelter to the city as well. Because many times these individuals don't have any place to go. And when the shelters are full, then the only option they have is to stay in the situation that they're in. And that's not good for anyone. Thank you.
Seeing no one else, public portion is now closed. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Brown?
Yes.
Councilman Brown?
Yes.
Councilwoman Caldwell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Rogers?
Yes.
Councilman Smith?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sparks Wade?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wyatt?
Yes.
And President Brewer.
Yes.
Mr. President, vote is 8-0.
With a vote of 8-0, CPO 2019-49 has passed on third and final, and so ordered.
CBO 2019-50, an ordinance approving additional appropriations for General Fund 101, sponsored by Mayor Karen Freeman Wilson, City of Gary, Angela Hayes, City Controller.
Mr. President, I move for passage of CPO 2019-50 on third and final reading.
Second.
Been moving properly second. Overview at this time.
Mr. President, members of the council, this is the ordinance that allows us to spend the dollars that will be prepaid pursuant to a pilot in lieu of payment in lieu of tax increment by U.S. Steel. The sum of the money is $15 million, but because of the way that the money is distributed, the budget that we've given you is greater than that. So I'm going to ask Curtis Whitaker to come and provide the details relative to that. I can tell you that the money is going for salaries and for benefits such as insurance, the equipment, and things of that nature.
The mayor's actually hit all of the topics relative to that. It's $15 million. The way that the information is provided to the Department of Local Government and Finance, it looks at cash availability at a point in time. And so we looked at cash at January 1st, which is a lot different than it was back in June, and that gives us the ability to request the amount that you have in front of you, which I believe is about $28 million. And you have also the information on how those dollars are going to be spent by the administration. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have at this time.
Is there any question by any council members at this time?
Mr. President,
Councilwoman Wyatt.
is that January 1st of 2019?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Any other council members? Thank you, Ms. Whitaker.
Thank you.
At this time, public portion is set aside. Anyone would like to speak for or against CPO 2019-50? You have 3 minutes to speak on this ordinance.
Yes, good evening, Mr. President, members of the council. My name's Jim Nowacki. I live in the 1st District. I attended the Finance Committee meeting, and my antennas went right up when the mayor said that the council doesn't really have to approve this. But we thought we'll just approve it, we'll just put it before the council, even though you actually don't have to do this. We can spend the money without your approval. And then she said it again. Then she repeated herself 3 times with essentially saying, you don't have to pass this ordinance, but we're going to let you pass it anyways. Now, that's very troubling to me when someone tells you that they want you to do something you don't really have to do, but just for giggles, let's do it. Because I know for a fact that you do have to do this. So right there, the mayor told a falsehood. When you talk about an ordinance approving additional appropriations, you know what additional appropriations are. Some of you forget, but last year you passed the budget. X amount of money coming in, X amount of money going out, and had a very detailed explanation for how it was supposed to be spent. Well, the mayor came at that time and said, we're just going to put in an artificial budget this year. We'll fill in all the blank spots later. And we know that that was not an approved way to have this thing done. I would expect the council to do this. Go back to the administration and say, don't give us a $28 million budget when you're telling us you've only got $15 million to spend, and just and you're going to be out of office in just 16 weeks. That's $1 million a week. And all we would expect is the council to do your job. Hold the administration responsible. Give us a detailed budget for how the money's going to be spent. Not, oh, 10 million for this, 20 million for this, 30. That's just the wrong way for you to execute your responsibilities as the fiscal body for the city of Gary. So I'm going to ask the council not to approve this. You don't have to do it anyways. Ask the mayor. She's an attorney. You don't have to do this. She can come to the council every single meeting and tell you how she's going to spend money at that meeting. Not before you authorize it. She should explain to you that if these are new appropriations, what those appropriations are. And she shouldn't expect you to just take it on faith, because I don't believe her.
Seeing no one else, public portion is now closed. Mr. Whitaker.
Mr. President, members of the council, I shared with the mayor after having specific conversations with the Department of Local Government and Finance, who will ultimately approve, if you approve this ordinance, they will ultimately approve it. The one unique thing about the $15 million is that the dollars are coming from a bond. And when dollars come from a bond, the mayor's right, they typically do not have to go through this appropriation process. But in discussions with Fred Van Dorp at the Department of Government and Finance, they shared with us that this is a unique situation, and we are providing them with information relative to how U.S. Steel and the bond is being issued. And so they shared with us, you could continue to go through the process that you're going through, but to also, once the deal closes, to provide them with all of the final documents relative to the bond issuance. So what the mayor has shared is correct. When you typically do a bond ordinance, you do not have to come back before the council to actually then spend the dollars. So there's $13,446,906 that will be used for personnel, salaries and wages and benefits. 13 million of the 28 million. 1.6 million in supplies, other services and charges, which are things like NIPSCO, which most of you know, we owe them a lot of money. Indiana American Water, AT&T, so $12.3 million to that. And then there's some money that was borrowed, $1.2 million from the wheel tax fund that needs to be repaid. That's included here. And that makes up the $28,546,906 that is being requested by the administration relative to this ordinance. Again, I'll be happy to answer any questions anyone may have.
Is there any question by council members at this time? I know the mayor did go on record at the last committee meeting and explained to us about this whole procedure here. And just like Attorney Lay said, it's better for us to do it and not need it than not to do it and need it. So I understand. All right, thank you. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Brown?
Yes.
Councilman Brown?
Yes.
Councilwoman Caldwell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Rogers?
Abstain?
Councilman Smith?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sparks Wade?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wyatt?
Yes.
And President Brewer.
Yes.
Mr. President, vote is 7 yes, 1 abstention.
With 7 yes, 1 abstention, CPO 2019-50 has passed on third and final and so ordered.
CPL 2019-06, a resolution by the Gary Common Council agreeing to the relocation of Majestic Star to an inland location within boundaries. Sponsored by Councilman Ronald Brewer, President of the Common Council, Councilman Michael A. Brown, Councilman at Large, and Councilwoman Linda Barnes Caldwell, Councilwoman 5th District.
Madam Clerk, for the record, that sponsorship should be all the council members.
Yes, all
That was
council
amended
members.
at the last council meeting. Councilman Smith, this is a resolution, so there's no public portion on it, so we will move to have that deferred to our 27th meeting.
Yes. Okay, Mr. President, I move to defer CPR 2019-06 to August 27th for a public hearing, August 27th.
No public.
Not a public hearing. Move to 2019-06 to the special meeting, August 27th, 6 p.m.
Second.
Been moving properly second. That will end third and final.
Oh, Mr. President, any ordinance and resolutions on third and final.
Open the ordinance and resolution on second reading.
CPO 2019-51, an ordinance approving salaries and operating budgets for the City of Gary's Community Development Block Grant Program, Program Year 2019, Emergency Solutions Grant Program, Program Year 2019, Home Program, Program Year 2019, and approving budgets for the foreclosure program, sponsored by Mayor Karen Freeman Wilson, City of Gary, Angela Hayes, City Controller, Community Development Division, Department of Commerce.
Mr. President,
Councilman Brown.
I move for passage of CPO 2019-51 on second reading. Finance Committee meeting on Tuesday, August 27th at 5:30 p.m. Public hearing on September 3rd.
Second.
Thank you. Move properly second. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Brown?
Yes.
Councilman Brown?
Yes.
Councilwoman Caldwell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Rogers?
Yes.
Councilman Smith?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sparks Wade?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wyatt?
Yes.
And President Brewer.
Yes.
Mr. President, the vote is 8-0.
With a vote to 8-0, CPO 2019-51 is moving to the Finance Committee August the 27th at 5:30 and a public hearing September the 3rd at 6 p.m. Let me just say for the record, that meeting will not be in the lounge since we will have a special council meeting here. That meeting will be here, so that way we're not running all over the place. So that the committee meeting will be here at 5:30 and we will go right into the special meeting after that.
5:30, 5 o'clock. Which one?
5:30.
Mr. Chair,
5:30.
5:30.
Okay, Brown.
All
And
right,
let's do this for the record so we all be on the same page for it getting recorded properly. Can I have a motion to have the special meeting on the 27th at 6 p.m. right here at Art House?
Mr. President, I move that we have a special meeting on September 27th at 6 p.m.?
Yes.
At 6 p.m.
Second.
Been moving properly second,
Mr. Chair, August 27th.
August 27th.
She
Yes,
said September.
yes, August 27th.
Okay, August 27th, what did that say?
They've been moving properly second by Councilwoman Caldwell. Roll call, Madam Clerk, on special meeting.
Councilwoman Brown,
Yes.
Councilman Brown,
Yes.
Councilwoman Caldwell,
Yes.
Councilwoman Rogers,
Yes.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Councilwoman Sparks Wade,
Yes.
Councilwoman Wyatt,
Yes.
and President Brewer.
Yes.
Mr. President, the vote is 8-0.
Vote of 8-0. Council, next meeting will be a special meeting on the 27th of August at 6 p.m. right here at Art House.
Mr. Chair,
Councilman Brown?
there's no public portion on that meeting.
There's no public portion. We already have had that hearing tonight, so it will just be a vote of the council.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes. At this time, we will have the mayor's report.
Again, good evening. This past weekend, the City of Gary and the Friends of the Gary Air Show hosted a car show at the Gary Chicago Airport as a fundraiser for the Gary Air Show. The car show was planned for 2 days when planes would be staged at the airport. Saturday was an excellent day, but the weather on Sunday, or at least the early weather, resulted in the cancellation of the second day. I want to thank all of the car show organizers, city staff, and the team at the airport. You know, it was a great event. We know that events like that won't necessarily support the air show in its entirety, but we also know that having citizens involved in the planning and the support funding of the airport is significant. And so we want to thank the community for their efforts. On Monday, August 12th, we hosted a delegation from the National League of Cities and Facebook in a day-long session. They wanted to discuss the city's efforts around community engagement and social media and how they might be able to assist. On last Thursday, the Goodwill Industries held their $8 million campus opening, which includes an outlet store, donation, drive-through, community center, and the Excel Center for Adults Seeking a High School Diploma and Jobs. We also celebrated on Friday, August 16th, the Gary Chicago International Airport East Hangar opening. And the significance of this East Hangar is that it is owned by the city and is leased to Sage Popovich, which is a trend that is being done in other communities and is thought to yield more revenue to the airport as a result. The city also hosted a community meeting last Wednesday with residents of the Black Oak neighborhood at First Financial Bank. It was well attended, and a lot of questions were answered and a lot was accomplished. On August 22nd, we will join representatives from the Glen Park community in the reopening of the Glen Park Post Office at 320 East 40th Avenue. We are also continuing to plan on paving so that we can meet the requirements of the Community Crossing Grant. And just want to remind everyone that our census campaign continues and that it is important to be counted so that ultimately the city will receive the support that we need. I would say that Midwest Electric has also begun the repair of the lights, the traffic lights in the community. We are also seeing, I wanted to confirm with Councilwoman Rogers that 15th to 19th outage is the retooling of those lights, and we're waiting for the contractor to fire up those lights. Are there any questions?
Question by any council members at this time?
Yes, Mr. President.
Councilwoman Rogers?
Mayor, at the last council meeting, you spoke about the bridge that will be completed sometime next month over Central Avenue. Some time ago, residents in the Marshalltown community were concerned about the condition of the road as a result of all of the heavy traffic and the work that was done by the state on that bridge. Do we know whether or not the state will be doing some paving after they have completed that bridge?
You're talking about the 15th Avenue Bridge?
No, the
Which
bridge straight out Central Avenue.
Central was the new bridge of 65 go across. They're reconstructing the new bridge there.
Oh.
Straight out
off of
Central
65.
Avenue.
Yes. There's not anticipated paving.
So they wouldn't pave they would handle the bridge, but they wouldn't do the paving.
Yeah, I understand that they generally don't do the paving, but because of all of, the street look even worse on Central as a result of all of the equipment that the state used to conduct and to do the work on that bridge.
That's certainly something we can raise with them. Thank you for raising it, and we will convey that. I still have to get the bridge that you have, but I know that Clotilde is here, or either Rachel, and would just ask them to raise that issue with Dave Schilling, who is our city engineer. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. We have a couple speakers, well, a few speakers for our public portion. Albert Simmons